The Wall Street Journal highlighting the mission to bring that U.S. airman home. The editorial board with this headline: a daring rescue inside Iran. The mission is more evidence of the U.S. military competence and bravery. The details are incredible, as we are learning. The injured airman relying on SEER training, which stands for Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape, to stay alive for at least 36 hours.
This is just remarkable in terms of what our amazing military is able to do.
It just points up how incredibly capable our military is, especially our special forces, which have been honed in war for the last 25 years.
Remarkable skill by the military, and this was a whole of national security effort here.
This kind of operation was more complicated than the bin Laden operation.
Retired Navy Top Gun fighter pilot Matthew Whiz Buckley takes us inside what may have looked like an impossible mission, but we pulled it off. Kicking off our coverage now from the Middle East, Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. Trey.
Harris, good morning. It was a daring rescue operation over the weekend. We've been speaking with sources both here in Israel and in the United States. They both agree this was an operation for the history books. Fox News can exclusively report that it was on Saturday morning. The CIA was able to confirm the location and the identity of the individual they were looking for. The CIA was concerned that what was happening was an Iranian deception campaign to try and lure in U.S. special forces, and a senior U.S. official tells Fox News when they could confirm it wasn't, they told the president, the Secretary of War, and the Joint Chiefs Chairman, at which point an operation was ordered to rescue the downed airmen. Now, you can see in this timeline here how all of this went down. It was Thursday night when that F-15E fighter jet was shot out of the skies of southwestern Iran. The pilot of the jet was recovered on Friday morning by U.S. Special Forces, but it was that special operations officer, the weapons systems officer, who had to spend 2 days in Iranian territory, who activated the emergency beacon and then ultimately stayed in a mountain crevice until U.S. forces could get nearby. More than 100, we are told, with a variety of different helicopters and aircraft to help rescue this airman. This was all part, though, of a CIA deception campaign, Fox News has learned. And we can exclusively report that the CIA leaked through multiple sources that they were trying to move a valuable package out of the country through a maritime exfil. This was meant to draw the Iranians away from the area where the airman was located, and that deception campaign worked, allowing the operation to unfold. Now, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu overnight praising President Trump for the success of the operation, saying, quote, "I spoke earlier with President Trump and personally congratulated him on his bold decision and a perfectly executed American mission to rescue the downed pilot from enemy territory. The president expressed his appreciation for Israel's help. I am deeply proud that our cooperation on and off the battlefield is unprecedented and that Israel could contribute to saving a brave American warrior." Now, as this was taking place, we do know there were a variety of decisions behind the scenes not to strike certain areas in southwest Iran as to focus on this airman who was missing. The coordination was happening at the highest level between the United States and Israel, but also importantly between U.S. intelligence agencies and the U.S. military so that they could operate on the ground, identify where this airman was located, and safely get him out of Iranian territory. Harris?
I have been watching your reports, one right after the other, all morning long, Trey, and with each one we learn more and more, and I cannot take my eyes off the screen. It simply is Mission Impossible made possible. Trey, you spoke with the president over the weekend. What else did he personally tell you?
Yeah, I spoke with President Trump over the weekend for about 15 minutes, and he was very clear there are currently two options on the table for the Iranian regime. They either take a good faith deal that's being offered to them by American negotiators, or the president is going to target Iran's energy infrastructure, their power plants, and their bridges. And the president said he is going to call tomorrow Power Plant Day and Bridge Day because the focus will be on inflicting as much damage on the regime as possible if they are not willing to make a good faith agreement. And we should note, Harris, that Iranian state media this hour is reporting that the Iranians have rejected the U.S. proposal to at least pause this war. And so once that is confirmed and we get more details, it could be an indication on where things are headed. I do want to just pull up one graphic here from the conversation with President Trump that he noted a very important point in all of this. He says the big thing is they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. The president goes on to say they're not even negotiating that point. It's so easy. That's already been conceded. Most of the points are conceded. As this U.S. military operation against the Iranian regime continues each and every day, The Americans and the Israelis are chipping away at the Iranian leverage. And at this point, the only thing they have left really is to hold the Strait of Hormuz hostage. And that is what they are doing right now. The president told me his #1 goal at the negotiating table is to get the strait open. Harris?
Well, and Trey, I don't know if you could hear the reporting leading up to you, but I had asked the team to pull a little bit of General Jack Keane, who said, well, why would you do that now? They'll just use the Strait of Hormuz in a further conversation on the show previously. They'll use that in the future to hold the world hostage again with the strait. Jack Keane saying, the general saying, you should stick with it and finish the job at this point. So this is an open conversation that's going on. It is fascinating. And when you said power plant and bridge day, those are the only words that probably matter right now to Iran. Your quick last thought.
Absolutely. If I took anything away from the conversation that I had with President Trump over the weekend, it's that he's very serious about striking deep in Iranian territory and targeting their energy infrastructure and a variety of infrastructure across the country if they're unwilling to make an agreement. The sense here is that the president is giving them a chance to show that they've changed their mind at the negotiating table. It appears they have not, and as a result, this military operation is likely to expand in the days ahead. And General Keane makes an important point that the Iranians still, because they can use these small vessels to lay individual mines, they have the ability to interrupt billions of dollars worth of global energy trade in very small increments. And so that is what the president and his top generals are focused on today.
Trey Yingst, great reporting as always. Thank you. The cover of today's New York Post with words of President Trump upon learning U.S. forces had rescued the airman. We got him. In focus now, Matthew Whiz Buckley, retired Navy Top Gun fighter pilot. So glad to have you on the program today. Look, I want to start with that amazing rescue and really what makes it amazing to you, knowing what you know as a pilot.
Well, Harris, I'd like to say it's amazing, and obviously it is, but it's a testament to the United States military. The CSAR folks, the Combat Search and Rescue, this was their Super Bowl. They eat, breathe, and sleep combat search and rescue. So after 13,000 combat sorties over the past 6 weeks, there hadn't been any losses. So the CSAR folks were probably sitting at the end of the runway, sitting alert, playing cards. But when that horn sounded, when they got the scramble call, a well-oiled machine kicked into operation, as Trey just laid out there. So it is amazing, but on the other hand, Harris, it isn't. All the young men and women out there on the tip of the spear did exactly what they were trained to do, and we have 2 airmen home because of it.
So what we're learning today was a sort of simultaneous, and we saw this with Midnight Hammer, Operation Midnight Hammer. You're going to go in one direction while you go in the other direction to do exactly what you want to do. Talk to me about how that was kind of like this one.
Amen, Harris. Deception is part of combat. So this really was a coordinated effort. The CIA doing all their secret squirrel stuff, and then maybe even launching a fake SAR package in one direction to confuse the enemy. This really was a joint effort. It's really interesting, Harris. On Easter Sunday, the motto of these Air Force Combat Search and Rescue folks is "so that others may live." And no, it's just a fine testament to what's going on. Real quick, though, Harris, piggybacking on Trey, I started flying fighters in Desert Storm. If you remember shock and awe, what did we take out in the first 12 to 24 hours? Power plants, bridges. We took out their electricity so they couldn't see. The fact that President Trump has been delaying all of this stuff shows that he's actually trying to find a diplomatic and peaceful solution. It's driving me crazy today, Harris, seeing some people on a particular side of the aisle going after him for this. He's actually shown restraint as opposed to what we did in Operation Desert Storm. I couldn't let that not go without saying something.
Well, I'll say what you graciously wouldn't. You mean Democratic lawmakers, and they're questioning everything up until this point. But really, are they going inside the mission to look at what it takes to win, or do they just want him to lose? That's what I hear you asking, and it's a fair question.
Amen. Well, not only that, Harris, we did lose 2 C-130s during this rescue operation. Apparently, the landing gear got stuck. But no other military in the world, Harris, can fight their way into your country, set up our own mobile temporary airfield, and then fight our way out. And if those airplanes get stuck, we're going to fly in some other ones to rescue those people. I didn't hear any of those people complaining about expenses when Joe Biden left close to $100 billion in military hardware to the Taliban, to our enemy.
Yeah.
So save me your crocodile tears about losing a couple C-130s. A human life in our country, Harris, is priceless.
Indeed. And talk to me about that, because from what I'm reading, we blew up those assets because they hold a whole lot of information and technology, and they put all of that into the hands, not just to mention whatever would last that they could use. They blew that up, something that we didn't do. We put all that might into the hands of the Taliban.
I still can't get over it, Harris. It's an absolute disgrace how we left. But everybody performed as needed. Hey, we can't let these secret squirrel airplanes fall into the hands of the enemy. We're going to blow them up.
Yeah.
Harris, that just goes to show you the contingency planning that our military does. Hats off to General Kane, a buddy of mine, and Secretary Hegseth. This was a near flawless operation.
Well, I think they call you Whiz because you are one. And I know you can fly. Good to see you today. Thank you for
Harris,
being...
let me...
Go ahead.
Real quick, call signs aren't very complimentary, and I'll just leave it at that. There's no Maverick or Iceman's running around out there, so I'll leave it at that.
All right. I don't know what it could be, but I'm going to leave it there.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.